All right, welcome back to Gav Talks Tech. We are at Bytespeed headquarters in Moorhead, Minnesota. We are in our esports lounge, but we wanted to talk specifically today about AppStream. So to give you guys a little bit of a backstory, a few years ago a customer asked me how he could run applications like AutoCAD, Adobe, some of the popular applications that a lot of school districts use. They wanted to run those on their Chromebooks. So we were looking into solutions like adding a GPU to servers and setting up a virtual environment, and it ended up not, being a route we wanted to take because it was so costly and time consuming. Fast forward to today, AppStream is a solution that we've been able to accomplish those things with, and as you can imagine, with how many schools are moving to Chromebooks and a little bit more of a streaming solution like AppStream, it's been wildly popular. So before we get too deep into that, I want to introduce our CIO, Lucas. Lucas, how long have you been with Bytespeed?
16 years. We were probably in middle school when I started.
Yeah, I hear that's like one of the most common things. Obviously, I'm a younger guy at Bytespeed. It's my 5th year, but I hear from my customers a lot, well, I got kids your age or something like that.
Yeah, no, 16 years. I started out building computers in our downtown office when we were there.
Yeah.
It was just, the big old beige 50-pound monstrosities, that they're just piled everywhere. And I was doing that for a summer, and then I moved into support, and I was the only support guy that we had.
Wow.
Just one-man help desk.
Yeah.
Then we moved over here to this building, and then I was a production manager for a while, and kind of kept growing up from there.
Absolutely.
The CIO.
Yeah. So Lucas has helped really grow Bytespeed from the ground up, and you've seen a lot of technology change and evolve over time and been part of that growth at Bytespeed. And so I guess, how did we get started with AppStream?
Well, kind of like what you alluded to, we had a customer, this was right at the beginning of the pandemic, things are starting to close down, and we have students that are they still need to do things, like how do we get them these applications, and they have Chromebooks, and they're trying to, figure out a way to get them into the network so they can remote into their computer lab machines and run, like Adobe and CAD and stuff like that, and so we started looking for better ways to do that, and we had a customer in Iowa who was actually using Citrix before and recently started using AppStream, and we kind of talked with him about how successful he was with it, how well it worked, what didn't work, and we found a way to kind of make a solution around that. And so with great feedback and help from that school, we added some things on top of Amazon AppStream that they don't have natively to make it more school friendly, and we went into pilot phase with that in the fall, and then recently left pilot phase into our full class solution. So
right.
Computer lab as a service.
Yeah, absolutely. And I cover Minnesota, North Dakota, Wyoming, and Alaska, and there has been quite a few districts in each state that have ran with this solution and done really well. So what does it look like for an organization that's, say, considering using AppStream? What kind of, I guess, scenario would be a good place to look at AppStream for a school district?
Yeah, so there's a few things that kind of lead that front. Like most students have a device now. They have a Chromebook, or they have an iPad, or there's some device that is always with them. So with COVID and people doing, learning from home, that became a big need. Is for, we need to get that software to them. So they have all the stuff on site to do it, but they're wanting to give kids access to that stuff off site. So AppStream running in the cloud can stream that application anywhere to any device. The other thing is schools are looking for just different ways to supplement the computer lab. So homework, weekend usage, kids are looking for just when they're not able to get in that computer lab to be able to get access to the applications as well. And then the third thing I would say would be an overbooked computer lab. So schools usually have limited space, they've had to give up some of the labs, and they just have a hard time getting students access to them. And just pulling out 1 or 2 applications of that into AppStream frees up a lot of that time and space for that lab and the kids getting to the software. So
absolutely. And our last question too, and we're definitely we're always willing to have a more in-depth conversation with you guys. You'll be working directly with Lucas on that initial call of saying, hey, how could AppStream work for my district? But the last question we wanted to cover, and this kind of alludes to how we help, but what is working with Bytespeed for the AppStream solution? Mm-hmm. Like, what is Bytespeed?
So yeah, so being as we offer it as a managed service, we do everything, all the heavy lifting and all the work after it's made, I should say, is made. So what we do is we go into Amazon, create an account, we build up virtual infrastructure. So we're building subnets and gateways and routes, and everything that you would need to get a device to the internet is in the cloud. AppStream is a service that runs inside of that. So every kid that logs in to AppStream and uses an application uses this virtual infrastructure to get out to the internet for the application to run. So we go through all that setup. We work with the school to integrate their G Suite for authentication. So when a student launches AppStream, it'll be from the Google App Launcher, and it'll open up to another app launcher window, which is the applications that they have available to them. On top of that, we've built a dashboard that schools can use to monitor their usage. So it'll show them which students are consuming hours, how many they're consuming, what applications that they're consuming the hours in. So that's pretty handy to have. We built a proxy server for internet traffic, so everything is SIPA compliant. We don't have to worry about a student opening up a web browser and getting into a website they shouldn't be getting into. We block all that traffic. So those are some of the things that Amazon doesn't natively do if you just do this out of the box with their CAN package. Yep. So we add value that way. We maintain the image, own the image, so that's one big piece of this. Is building that image is kind of difficult, especially with how intricate the software is. It took us a couple months with a couple different schools to fine tune, like Adobe Animate, the touchscreen wouldn't work to draw this one, right. We don't know how to use the software that well, so right. Relying on the schools for that help, and just having to keep trying and refining and yep. Getting that image perfect so it works for everybody.
And then once it's set up, it's easily.
Yep, once it's set up, we can share with everybody, and we own the maintenance on that and the updates and everything. So so really, all the heavy lifting is done beforehand, and then just after the fact, the school just needs to communicate with us how the availability needs to look. They have a class at noon with 30 students. We'll have 30 spots warmed up and ready for that class. Right. Or they don't want it off, or they want it on the weekends. Some want it off on the weekends, some want it on overnight, some don't. So
that's where you're their go-to contact,
yep.
Or your team is their go-to contact to help set those specific pieces.
To get everything, all the details fine-tuned, and we're trying not to have idle usage out there or yep. wasted resources. So that's just working with the school to schedule that.
Absolutely. Yeah. But that's just a quick little overview of AppStream. But we want to talk to you guys specifically about how AppStream can work in your environment. It's definitely something that, like I said, is becoming more and more popular as more and more schools deploy it and spread the word. So feel free to reach out to me, to Lucas, or really anyone at Bytespeed, and we'd love to help you out. But thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next week on Gav Talks Tech. That's it.